Finding your college roommate can be so stressful, especially because they're probably gonna see you naked. But don't worry, today we're gonna talk about how you can find a roommate that you can tolerate for at least the next 10 months and hopefully avoid those worst roommate ever stories. Hey guys, welcome to Adulting with Esther, the show where we talk about the things you don't learn in school. I'm Esther, your host, and today we're going to be talking about how to find a roommate in college. We're going to go through 3 steps that'll help you be successful in finding your first roommate in college. We're going to talk about knowing what you want in a roommate, how to find a roommate, and finally, choosing the right roommate. If you're new to this channel, I'd like to invite you to press that subscribe button down below, and once you do that, press the alarm button. It'll alert you when I post new videos every week. Don't worry, you don't have to pay for anything. And then go ahead and press that like button. It helps us go higher on the search engine so more people like you can find these videos. Before we go into knowing what you want in a roommate, it's really important that we touch on the different types of on-campus housing that are available. The first type of on-campus housing is apartment-style rooms. These are typically reserved for sophomores or higher, or even students that are married. On-campus apartments typically are not available for freshmen, but hey, check with your advisor. You might be able to live in an apartment. It just may cost a little bit more. Another type of on-campus housing that exists is activity-based housing. And what that means is if you are a student athlete, like you play basketball, football, swim team, or water polo, you can probably live in an athlete dorm or some type of housing for those athletes. And you'll know about that if you got a full ride scholarship for football before you're going in. Typically, walk-ons are not going to live with all those people in their freshman year. Another type of activity-specific housing you're probably thinking about is Greek life. Different colleges have different rules for different types of Greek life. Some colleges have Greek life housing on campus. Some colleges have Greek life housing off campus. However, for either one, you're probably going to need to rush and get accepted into that sorority or fraternity, which means you're going to need the place to live beforehand. Because of all these different options, we'll be talking about the most common type of on-campus living, the residence halls, or what you've probably heard before, dorm rooms. Dorm rooms and residence halls are available to all students at any point in time. However, they are most commonly geared towards freshmen and sophomores. In fact, most colleges require freshman students to live on campus, unless you live within commuting distance, which means if your college is in Chicago and you live in Chicago, your school might not require you to live on campus because your parents live across the street. Check with your school or your advisor and you can find out more. Without further ado, knowing what you want in your roommate. Knowing what you want is probably the step that most people forget about and go straight to trying to find a person that fits this mold that they really haven't thought about yet. If you take the time to think about the type of person that you want to live with, chances are you'll be able to find them because you know what you want. I want to make sure we cover 2 major misconceptions in the world of choosing your roommate. First is, the person you live with doesn't need to have the same major as you. In fact, you're probably better off finding someone with a different major. And here's why. If you have someone that has the same major as you, you'll probably have all the same classes together, which means you will see this person when you go to class and when you come home. Now, there's a pro to that. Maybe you have the same homework and you want to work together, but what if you don't like this person? In the first 3 weeks, you probably won't know, but you also have to see this person when you're in class together. And then it's awkward because you have to think, am I gonna sit by them even though I don't like them anymore? Just meet another person. Practice those networking skills. The other most common misconception, thinking that this person needs to be your friend. Your roommate doesn't need to be your friend. In fact, it's probably better if they're not. When someone's your friend, you'll want to spend all your time with them, and it's human nature to get annoyed by a person. Pick someone that you don't know or don't know very well and get to know them. Learn to meet someone new, and maybe you can practice your networking skills, which will be really valuable to you once you graduate from college in a few years. If the roommate that you end up choosing or getting assigned is a total nightmare, some schools, in fact, most schools, will let you switch your roommates later in the year. Just keep data, like a journal or a diary, of all the awful things that they do. Keep their Facebook posts and, take a screenshot of them, put them away or whatever if they're like cyberbullying you. Keep all that information, and then halfway through the year, if it's so awful and they think that they need a new roommate as well, chances are the school will allow you to switch. It's just kind of a pain because then you literally have to pack all your stuff and move it and put it in the elevator if your building even has an elevator. Do it right from the beginning and get the right roommate. Knowing what you want in a roommate is really thinking about your own lifestyle. Are you a morning person or are you more of a night owl? This is something that you want your roommate to have in common with you. If you're a night owl and your roommate is a morning person, you're going to be up probably till 3 a.m. studying because that's when you do your best work and you have all your classes scheduled at night. Your morning person roommate is probably going to be waking up at 6 a.m. so that they can go to the gym and then start their classes at 8 a.m. Definitely figure out if you want a roommate that's a morning person or a night person. Another lifestyle thing that you want to figure out is, what are you trying to get out of college? A lot of freshmen going thinking they want to party all the time. And if that's you, that's great. But really think about what all the time means. Because there are people in college that will, and I'm not joking, party before their morning classes, party after their morning classes, party on weeknights, party in the morning before football games on the weekends, party during the football games on the weekends, and party after the football games on the weekends. So if you're telling all these future roommates that you want to party all the time, some people literally do that. Make sure that that's a good fit for you. Maybe you're more of a chill person, or you like to spend time with your family. If you see yourself spending a lot of time with your family, maybe you won't even be in your dorm room that often, and the roommate you have doesn't matter a lot. After lifestyle, you should probably think about your different study habits. If you're a person who needs to study in a completely silent environment, you need to make sure that you let your future roommate know that. Some people study better with loud music. Some people study better at the library. And a lot of people do that in college because their roommates and them just don't jive as well as they should. Think about what study habits work for you and what kind of roommate you need to complement that lifestyle. You should probably think a little bit, not a lot, about your personality type. And I'm not saying go take a test, but the Myers-Briggs test is a fun one to take. You should really focus on whether you are an introvert and an extrovert. Being an introvert doesn't mean that you are shy or quiet all the time. That could be a part of it, but what being an introvert really means is that you feel energized and your battery gets full when you spend time alone, doing more quiet activities like reading books, maybe writing poetry, spending more time alone or in smaller groups of people. Whereas an extrovert is a person that gets energized by being around people. They might want to spend every single evening night with their friends, going out to dinner at the mess hall, or even partying. If you're an introvert and you get an extroverted roommate, that might cause some discord in your relationship. How about your level of cleanliness? What level of cleanliness are you comfortable tolerating? Nobody's perfect, but you do need to take the time to figure out if you're okay with having a roommate that's as messy as you, or if you want a roommate that's okay as cleaning up for themselves. And the last thing you need to know: boyfriends, girlfriends, and significant others. You can't control if your roommate falls in love during college, but you do need to think about your own significant other, if you have one, if you're trying to get one, and what you're willing to deal with. And here's why. But if you're the type of person in relationships that tends to pair up right away and spend all your time with your partner, you better be okay if your roommate does that. Would you be annoyed if your roommate is constantly with their boyfriend in your dorm room? Because remember, you have to share and you'll have to listen to them giggling and flirting over there like 5 feet away from you. Remember, you can't control what your roommate does or who they date. It is a good conversation to have ahead of time, and it's really good to make sure you're being aware of what you're doing yourself. The golden rule totally applies in all things roommates. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Oh, and one more thing. In knowing what you want in a roommate, make sure that you know what you don't want. Again, don't be picky. Just find those non-starters that are absolutely no way. For example, smoking. Are you okay with a roommate that smokes and maybe your room smelling like cigarettes sometimes? Well, now you know everything that you want in a roommate or what you're okay with. And you're gonna have to be flexible. No one's gonna fit your ideals ever. But you've got a starting point, and that's what matters. The second thing we need to talk about is how you're gonna find your roommate. Now, this is pretty easy, and luckily you have a college advisor that is going to set you up. Think of them as your personal concierge, or your landlord, or your mommy. This person is there to advise you. Most colleges for freshmen have like a dating portal kind of deal, and it's always something super cheesy like Charlie's finding other people thing, or matchmakers for roommates. Maybe yours is a little bit better. You can also go to Facebook groups. Find some people that you think sound interesting and reach out to them and chat with them a little bit. Craigslist is another resource that you can look at for finding roommates, but I'd really recommend it more for off-campus housing, not on-campus housing. If off-campus housing is something you're looking for, you can click the card up in the corner, and I have another video on that for you. And by the way, if you've gotten value out of this video so far, or if you're just enjoying it, press that like button. It really helps us out. At this point in time, you know what you want in a roommate, and you've found a group of people willing to be your roommate. The last thing you can do is
choose the right person.
So much pressure.
What are you gonna do?
What if they're like my mom?
What if they don't like me?
Chances are they'll do all of those things. But let's focus on what you can control. After you've sorted through all the people on your Facebook groups or on that university provided matchmaking system, get down to a few people and actually start talking to them and get to know them. Down below in the description, you can find an infographic and questionnaire that will provide you with some questions that you can ask these people and use them to guide your conversation. Don't be a robot and just ask them all these questions. You'll sound like a robot and they won't want to live with you. Remember, it's a
tit for tat relationship. If they want you, you gotta like them. And
some questions that you might want to ask this person are, where are you from? What are you going to be studying? Do you have a car? Can you share it with me? What do you do for fun? Are you planning on having a job this year? What are some of your goals in school? Tell me about your family. You can learn a lot about a person by asking about their family. What are you looking for in a roommate? What are some non-starters for you? Tell me about your last year of school. What do you do on most weeknights? What do you do on the weekends? What do you want to do during college? Have you ever partied before? Do you plan on partying? Would you consider yourself a clean person? What are some of your pet peeves? If you want more suggestions on get to know you questions, click the link down in the description so you can download that infographic and questionnaire to help you out. Once you've gone through all 3 steps, chances are you'll have a pretty good idea on what you want in a roommate and hopefully a few candidates that'll fit the bill. I'd recommend having at least 2 or 3 because at least one of them is gonna be a flake and one of them probably won't be as great as you thought they were. If you can, meet them in person. When you meet someone in person, you can instantly tell if you're going to be able to vibe with them or not. But get to know them a little more. Maybe go out to lunch, see if they have the 15 bucks it takes to pay for Olive Garden pasta. And if they don't, is that a red flag to you? If they can't keep up small talk for 45 minutes, is that a red flag to you? Luckily, finding who your college dorm room roommate is serious, but not super serious, because you don't have to deal with the elements of money or sharing food. So for now, revel in the fact that you've taken the initiative to go through all these steps to find a roommate that's going to be a good fit for you. Looking for a roommate off campus is a whole different bag of worms. You can check out this video up here for more information about that. I'd love to know more about your experiences with your roommates if you've had one already. And if you haven't, I'd love to know more about what you're worried about. Go ahead and comment down below. I'd love to know what you're anxious or excited about. It's going to be one of the best times of your life. If you do college right, you're not going to be in your dorm room that often. There's so many things going on around a college campus that you should be busy every single second. And if you're ever bored, it's your own fault. So in this video, we talked about the 3 steps that you need to take in order to find your college roommate. You need to know what you want in a roommate, you need to know how to find your roommate, and then you need to make sure that you thoroughly vet this person when you go through choosing your roommate. If you liked this video or you got value out of it, go ahead and press that thumbs up button down below. It means a lot to us. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click subscribe so that you're alerted when we post our next video. By the way, they come out on Tuesdays. And remember to download that infographic and questionnaire down below so that you can make sure you do everything within your power to get a roommate that you can at least tolerate. Bye guys, thanks for stopping by.